I don't know if somebody would like to fill in as acting chair until.
I'll just step up to facilitate. And again, we're just here to hear a presentation to begin with, I believe.
Yes, I'm here to present for the city, and I know that Robert McWhorter is here too for the union, and I don't know if he would like to speak as well, but I can start. So we're here to present the fire union contract. We have been bargaining with the fire union team, the administration's team, that is, beginning in May. We held sessions at the City Hall because it's very hard to bargain virtually. We were very distant and safe in the chamber, the council chamber. We came to agreement in late September, and then there was a period during which the union reviews with its members the provisions of the contract, and the union voted in favor of it in late October. So I'll just run by a few of the changes, the substantive changes. This is a 4-year contract, so it would begin in January of 2021 and go for 4 years through 2024. The total impact is calculated at $1,946,339. That's approximately $487,000 a year. The base salary percentages, the increases are 1% for 2021 and 2% for the 3 successive years, all 3 of those years. Probably one of the biggest changes is to longevity. That is a payment that is made annually per officer. It used to be that in the existing contract, and for several contracts, I believe, it started at $800 a year, starting in the 2nd year of a firefighter's career with the city. And it went up in every few years at a different increment. And we wanted to kind of rationalize that and have it go up $100 per year so it was easier to understand. So we'll start in the new contract at $400 a year in year 2, and then every year after that will increase by $100 until you get to the 20th year. And the payment in that year is capped, well, it's capped at $3,750. But the way that longevity is calculated for purposes of the city's contribution to PERF, which we are required to make at 4%, is the firefighter base salary, which will be in 2021 $54,000. Is that 54? $54,625 plus a longevity rate, an amount. And the amount that we have put into this contract is $12,500. And what you do is you add those 2 numbers and the 4% is calculated on that. This is a little complicated, I'm sorry, but PERF created this system, not us. And what this does is it increases the longevity payment for our officers, and that is something that was important to them and important to us for their future pensions. So that is a big difference for this contract. Certification pay, there were changes to that. It's simplified to $100 per certification. There were different numbers per certification in the previous contract. And the number of certifications is going up from 29 to 51. So there are different kinds of certifications that the officers can get versus the previous contract. They can get up to 15 as well. The current contract or the previous contract had 8 maximum. So they can get, if they got 15 certifications, they can have $1,500 in extra compensation. Command appointments are specific appointments that are made by the chief. And we created 3 new ones to cover some needs in the department that he saw. Squad driver, squad officer, and shift logistics technician. And those also have additional pay associated with them. We also removed a cap. There was a cap on these 3 additional kinds of pays of $4,800 a year. And we removed that cap because it was, correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, it was kind of a hindrance to officers being willing to take on a command appointment, for example, because if they were capped, they would take on this additional role and not be paid anything. So that was a limitation that we wanted to get rid of. Acting pay, sometimes an officer will be asked to serve in a function that is at a higher level because someone is out on leave or has left, there's a vacancy. And the way that has gone in the previous contracts is that you had to act in that capacity for 60 days before you would get additional pay. We've reduced that to 30 days. Clothing allowance, which we pay for and provide their protective equipment, their basic firefighting equipment, and they're responsible for dress uniforms, badge shirts, duty wear, and some other items. And so we give them a clothing allowance that is going up from $450 to $500. And that is it. We were pleased to have completed the negotiations within the year, and we were pleased that the union supported the contract, and we ask that you do too. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Guthrie. And Mr. Sims, welcome. You may take over as chair. We are still in presentations. I believe Mr. McWhorter may wish to make a comment, or perhaps Chief Jason Moore.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilmember Piedmont Smith, thank you for the heads up. I do apologize why it's 6:30 in my brain. But at any rate, is Mr. McWhorter available and care to speak now?
Yes, I am. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. As part of the union and vice president, we just want to say thank everybody for their time. Coming to agreement with the pandemic this year, not being able to meet as many times as previously, I know, and it was a lot of time and effort put into this contract. And for the majority of the department, I think everybody is excited about this contract and looking forward to the future. And we just want to thank everybody and show our appreciation for this contract.
Okay, thank you very, very much. Chief Moore, did you have anything to add?
Yes, I too want to voice support for this. I think it was bargained in good faith. There is a lot of benefit in this contract. As you all are well aware, we've done a lot to professionalize the department in the past 4, almost 5 years. And this recognizes some of that. It also recognizes the good work that your firefighters are doing above and beyond what their base salary is. And this is a change that is going to put us in place to where we're closer in line with where we should be in our total pension base for our firefighters. So this does get back to the realm of firefighter retiree insurance, not directly, but if you have more retirement income, then you can deal with some of the retiree insurance issues as well. So from an administrative standpoint, I want to thank you, thank the city admin, and thank the union for the support, for the coming together, having the hard conversations. And I do believe this is a fair contract, and it will serve us and the city and the citizens very well for the next 4 years.
Okay, thank you very well. Thank you, and Mr. McWhorter. I caught the very end of Ms. Guthrie's presentation, so thank you for presenting as well. I do believe that we are now into committee members' comments. So do we have any Councilmember Scambolari?
Yes, thank you. Just a real quick question and then perhaps a more substantive question. Is the 4-year term of this contract, is that typical? Are they generally in 4-year increments, or have we ever deviated from that? I'm just curious for my own history.
Yes, I mean, they can be 3 years, 4 years. They could be pretty much whatever you want, I think. But
okay,
they have tended to be those two.
So this isn't particularly unusual at all, it sounds like. Okay. No. And then, Ms. Guthrie, you mentioned the dollar amount of impact on the city budget, 1.946 million, I think.
1946339. Yep.
Great. And Mr. Underwood, if you could pop in, City Controller, if you could comment on that fiscal impact and what council may need to be aware of over the next few years. Oh, there you are. What council may need to be aware of over the next few years as we keep that in mind.
Just a couple of things. Obviously, that's an average number. It actually starts smaller and grows higher over the term because of the compounding. But we just, to make it simpler, we divide it by 4 to give you some idea. Obviously, the agreement came after the budget was completed, so we'll have the same situation where the 21 budget does not reflect this. So we'll probably come to you again in the fall when we do our cleanup. And if fire needs additional monies, then we will do that. And obviously, if other departments had money they saved, we move that around. So after that, then obviously it would be built in each year to the contract. We do, it's an estimate because things change. People retire, new people come on. Some people get new certifications, some people lose some of the certifications. So, it's based on a point in time, just like the rest of the budget. So it won't be an exact number, but other than that, you should see the impacts in the 22, 23, and 24 budgets as we present them. And then we'll get money in for 21 as needed in the fall.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilmember Sandberg.
Could you tell me, Chief Moore, how many fire people do we have currently in our department? And are we fairly competitive in terms of being a desirable place for firefighters to want to work?
Yeah. So for the contract, what you're looking at, we're talking about the collective bargaining agreement that covers 99 employees. The fire department total has 110. And as far as the desirability, our last hiring process, we had over 200 applicants. So the hiring process before that, over 300 applicants. And we do have a fairly low turnover rate. We do anticipate this contract with the change to retirement may increase the turnover rate. And we do, for the first time in our history, have a direct competitor in the county. But we are fairly compensating our people, and we do have a lot of good support for what we're doing. Obviously, we've got plenty of people applying, so we are happy with where it's at.
Thank you. That's very helpful. And being competitive is critical in terms of keeping your well-trained people. So thank you all very much for your good work.
Thank you, Councilmember Sandberg. Councilmember Piedmont Smith.
Yeah, I wanted to follow up on Councilmember Scambolari's question about the fiscal impact. So I'm trying to understand how to interpret that. The 1.9 million, that is the additional amount the city will have to pay over 4 years?
Correct.
Compared with if we kept the contract the same as it was before. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically saying if we didn't have a contract, it would be flatlined. So we would have a baseline that would continue on. And then this measures on a scale of each year is a cumulative impact. So that's the cumulative impact of all of the changes over 4 years.
Okay, that's what I thought, but it wasn't altogether clear. I have one other question, Councilmember Sims, may I ask it?
Yes, you may. Thank you.
I noticed and I don't know if we're separating the resolution from the ordinance, but I guess in both there's talk about longevity pay, and then there's something called, let me see. Sorry, let me look at it again. There's a longevity pay, and then there's longevity extra something or other.
Certifications?
Longevity recognition pay. So this is in the salary ordinance 2032. So I'm wondering what's the difference there? Why isn't it all one chunk of money?
Okay, Jason Moore wishes to respond to that. But before we go any further, as you said, Councilmember Piedmont Smith, this question could go to either the resolution or ordinance. And I think, is it appropriate for this question for this particular resolution, or is it better served for the ordinance? Okay, seeing no heads move. Go ahead, Chief Moore. Thank you.
Yeah, so the longevity pay is through the contract. The extra one you're talking about is one of the incentive programs that HR instituted. So at the every 5-year mark, there's the a small gift that's given to an employee, generally during a recognition ceremony. With COVID, I don't know if we're doing that, but that's the difference between the two. The collective bargaining agreement is all the time, and then this other one was kind of an incentive program on top of it, which is why it's not in the contract, but you see it in the salary ordinance.
So is that something that's made available to all city employees? That
Yes,
same scale of 5 years, $25, 10 years, $50, et cetera?
that is correct.
Okay, I see. Thank you for explaining that.
Okay, thank you. Further questions from committee members? I do have one, and again, thank you for the presentation. I've read all the information, but the question I do have, and maybe this is for Chief Moore or maybe Ms. Shaw, can you share with us what is the your diversity breakdown, diversity and gender breakdown? I guess that would be racial and gender. What is the breakdown of our officers or in your department?
Okay, so I'll take this one. Our current diversity breakdown, we're around 5% female. And then for racial diversity, we know that we're sitting closer to 3 or 4%. We are waiting on, and we've had to reschedule our diversity class that was actually going to survey our members. As you know, it's what do you identify as, not necessarily what you look like. So we are going off of just the known diversity, which we've been tracking since I've been here. That class will tell us a very clear picture of what our baseline is. And I will be very happy to tell you that our future recruits that are up next in our next hiring list is extremely diverse compared to what it has been in the past.
Okay, thank you very much. Another question, and I know this may not be so pertinent for tonight, but there has been programs, in particularly with Hoosier Hills and some career development, where we worked with younger folks, and we anticipated that over time that would be a good way to add diversity and more local talent. Can you speak on how that's going in your estimation?
Yeah, so that Bloomington Fire Department supported the Hoosier Hills program and even the Ivy Tech Fire Science program for a very long time, probably dating back to when you were on the Board of Public Safety. We are reaping the benefits of those programs now. Some of our best candidates that have come through the interview process went through the classes that we help teach about how to conduct a fire department interview. I can't speak necessarily to the diversity that's coming out of the Hoosier Hills program, but I do know that we are getting good quality candidates that we've already semi-prepared for a fire service career. So it is paying dividends, and it is something that we are continuing to invest in.
Okay, thank you very much. I anticipate that it would yield good candidates as well. I would only add that as we move forward in the future, we target more of a gender and diversity initially. That'll pay off, as you say, years on down the line. So thank you very, very much. Any further questions from committee members? Okay, I believe now it's time do we have any public comments? Mr. Lucas, are you monitoring that this evening? And if we do have any, what I will tell our public is that you will have 5 minutes for public comment. And Mr. Lucas, you're on.
And for any members of the public that wish to make a comment, you can indicate by using the raise hand function that you'd like to comment by clicking on the participants button and then selecting raise hand, or if that's not working for you, you can send a message via chat to the meeting host. I don't see any requests at the moment.
Okay, thank you. We'll give a few more seconds to see if anyone cares to publicly comment on Resolution 2018. And as Mr. Lucas said, you can indicate by using the raised hand function in Zoom or send us a message through chat. Okay, Seeing none, thank you. We will return back to committee members for final comments, if any. Do we have any? Councilmember Piedmont Smith.
I just wanted to thank everybody involved in negotiations, and I'm very pleased that they were amicable and we came to a good agreement. It's clear that in the public safety field, the base salary is only part of the compensation that is given to officers, and I'm really glad to see that we have the other source of compensation to attract high quality candidates to these jobs. And especially the retirement amount, the longevity pay at 20 years, that is reflected at a higher rate for the pension fund, I think will be a big incentive, especially since so many professions now don't even have pensions. So that's very appealing, I think, to go into a career where you risk your life, but at least you have that security at the end of the career. So I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. My final comment is I want to thank everyone involved with the negotiations as well. I know it was fairly long and took some time and some consideration and some collaboration, and I am very appreciative of that. I will say that I think as we move forward, you can expect more discussion on diversity and gender equity and how we're doing from a training standpoint, and how our department compares to others, both compensationally wise and work environment wise. So thank you very, very much. Seeing any more comments, are we ready to consider a due pass recommendation on ordinance 20-18?
Move do pass.
Second.
Thank you. It's been passed or moved do pass and seconded. We'll start with who I see on my screen. Councilmember Scambolari.
Yes, and is this, just to clarify, are we doing the resolution and the ordinance together or separately?
According to my agenda, it's separate.
Okay, so this is for the resolution. My vote doesn't change, but just to clarify, yes.
Yes, resolution 20-18. Thank you. Councilmember Sandberg.
Yes.
Councilmember Piedmont Smith.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. And that is a do pass recommendation 4-0. Okay, thank everyone for participating. Thank you, Chief Moore, Mr. McWhorter, and Ms. Guthrie. Now we come forth with ordinance 20-32, which is an ordinance to amend ordinance 20-22, which fixed the salaries of officers of the police and fire departments for the city of Bloomington, Indiana for the year 2021. Can I assume that Ms. Shaw will be presenting? Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Shaw.
Yes, good evening, Council. This is Caroline Shaw, the HR Director for the City of Bloomington. As I said during the budget presentations, I'd be back once we had an agreement on the fire contract to update our public safety ordinance. And that's exactly what I'm doing tonight. So ordinance 2032 will actually fully replace ordinance 2022, which I presented during, I believe it was October, during the final budget hearings. And so now I will just go over those changes. There are no changes to the police portion of the salary ordinance because nothing has changed. There was everything set as it was. But Philippa did a great job, Ms. Guthrie, of highlighting the contract changes, and the salary ordinance, I will just highlight those changes that are specific to the year 2021. And I will not go into detail unless somebody has questions because it would just be repetitive to what Philippa has said. And this is in sections 1A and 1B of the salary ordinance 2032. And we've changed, so salaries for captain, chauffeur, and firefighter have increased by 1% for 2021. There was an annual cap elimination, longevity pay changed, the perf contribution changed that we've just discussed, and the certification pay has also changed. We added some command appointments and eliminated 3. Eliminated 2 rather. Shift investigator and air mask technician were eliminated, and the compensation changed on some of the ones that were existing and also the ones that we added. Mandatory training pay has a max of 8 hours now, and then the annual clothing rate also changed, as Philippa mentioned. And then the one thing I think Philippa maybe didn't mention, I will go over in more detail here, and forgive me if I just missed that when she was going through the contract. When a firefighter fills in for a higher ranking firefighter for more than 30 consecutive days, they will receive an increase in their base salary. And currently they had to work in that role for 60 days before they received the increase. So we've reduced that from 60 days to 30 days. And these are just changes for the 2021 pay year. So if you have any specific questions for me, I'm happy to take those at this time.
Hey, thank you very much for the presentation. Do we have any questions from committee members? Okay, seeing none, and I have none either. It is now time to go to public comment. I will remind, this is for ordinance 20-32. We will allow 5 minutes per person for public comment. Please participate by either using the raised hand function in Zoom or send us a note via the chat function in Zoom. Mr. Lucas, do we have any takers?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay, we'll just give it a few more seconds. This might be a good time for the Jeopardy theme song, don't you think? Okay, the whole intent was to get smiles, and I see that from participants. Thank you very, very much.
I'm not singing.
Okay.
I'll write up the resolution. So.
And I will second that. Okay, Mr. Lucas, do we have any participants at all? No, seeing none. Okay, thank you very much. We'll go back to committee members for a final comment, if any.
Move, do, pass.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved to pass and second for ordinance 20-32. And again, we'll start with who I see on my left. Councilmember Scambolari.
Yes.
Councilmember Sandberg.
Yes.
Councilmember Piedmont Smith.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. That is a do pass recommendation 4-0. Thank you, Ms. Shaw, for your presentation. However brief it was, but I know you were prepared to give us details as needed. So thank you very much. I do believe this finishes our Public Safety Committee business for the evening. Am I going along this properly, Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Just to note that the Council's Land Use Committee meeting will begin at 6:15. So just here shortly, and it'll be on the meeting link.
Thank you very much. That's one reason why I'm trying to finish up so we can stay on track here. So thank everyone participating. This ends the Public Safety Committee's business for this evening, and see you all at the Land Use Committee meeting shortly if you choose to tune in, and I hope you do. Thank you all very much.